Tanner Phillips. I'm the youth coordinator here at All Souls, and I'm so glad that Barbara invited me to join her this morning so we could talk to the graduating class. Because the youth program here at All Souls literally changed my life. It was just when I needed somewhere to belong. Middle school and high school often felt alienating to me. I didn't feel like I could truly be myself. Often I felt like I was hiding the most important parts of myself. But here at All Souls, down in the sponge room, it was the opposite. I was completely comfortable exploring my identity, developing it, and letting myself grow into the person I knew I wanted to be. But it was more than that. I was surrounded by people, other youth, other adults, doing the same thing for themselves, actively encouraging each other to grow. That is the magic of the youth program here.
You know what, Tanner, listening to you, I feel a little bit sad and a little bit jealous because I didn't have anything like that when I was growing up. And 14 to 20 were really hard years for me. My parents got divorced when I was 12, and I'm the youngest, so my brother and my sister left our home at the same time. And I got pretty depressed, and there wasn't a community. We didn't go to any kind of a church. So I've often wondered, I've talked with friends of mine, what would have happened if I'd had the kind of support we give each other here. I think I might have understood myself a little bit earlier. I might have found my way a little bit earlier. It took me a long time to feel comfortable in my own skin. And I might have avoided some major and even some dangerous detours that I took along the way.
Well, it seems like some people chose life itself as their greatest teacher. And maybe that's true for you. A good friend of mine, when I was in high school, asked me, have you chosen life experience as your personal savior? Yeah. I've always loved that question. She grew up Unitarian, South Texas, very conservative, natural reaction, I think, to fundamentalist Christianity. And anyway, I love that quote.
How does it go? Let's see. Have you chosen life experience as your personal savior? It's funny and it's not funny again, because I think I did think that for a long time. I thought I could figure it out on my own. And, I could just keep going and it'd all come together. But even though life is a powerful teacher, I think it takes effort and intention and direction and often some guidance, because it actually is possible to miss the meaning of our own lives. It actually is possible not to live out our own potential. Mm-hmm. I was lucky that eventually I found mentors and teachers who helped me, but to me it's really still amazing that this is an intentional community of people who are committed to providing the tools and experiences we all need, no matter what age we are, so that we can live our lives to the fullest. And if truth be told this morning, it's one of the reasons I'm a minister, or one of the reasons I'm so happy to be a minister. And I stood then because I'm receiving final fellowship this year. So, thank you. And even though I'm a fully fellowshipped minister, I still need this community. I need free-thinking people, spiritually curious people to support me and question with me and support me through the next life transition, because they just keep coming, right? There's just one. You're not done. Sorry. It's just one.
Right, you're just getting started.
Right.
Well, the reason it works here is that once we understand how to make meaning of our own life experiences, we can do it not only for ourselves, but we can help other people in our lives and our communities do the same thing for themselves.
I do believe everyone's born with the capacity, the ability to find their own way and to make meaning of their own life and to live life to the fullest, but it does take some cultivation, I think is what we called it. Like
That's
you
a great way
cultivate a garden.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Right. Yeah. And look at our seniors, our youth, as little seed pods when they come here. Now you've maturing and growing, blossoming wonderfully.
Yes.
And that's really what the youth program, the All Souls Youth Program, is all about here. It's a chance to discover and cultivate our ability to listen to our inner voice, so that when we graduate the program, and then for the rest of your lives, because you are going to need that your whole life, it doesn't matter where you are, you'll know how to hear and heed, how to listen to that voice within. We also know the importance of having people in our lives that we can count on.
So we wanted to talk to you this morning about some of the ways the youth program creates these kinds of experiences and that help us learn about ourselves and be ready for the next transition or life passage.
And really the best example I can think of for this is the Senior Spirit Quest. It's a trip we take every year with the seniors to Arkansas to a wonderful ranch, Horseshoe Canyon Ranch. And every year, the seniors, and the adults too, because we like to play and have fun and we like to do all the same things, we challenge ourselves by doing four main elements, these 4 big physical challenges. Cave exploring or spelunking, horseback riding, rock climbing, zip line too, but that's not as big for this purpose anyway, is the quick jump. It's a new thing they added, so seniors who've already graduated, if you went in years past, you didn't get to do the quick jump. But it's like bungee jumping. It's incredible. But what's scary and difficult for one person can be ordinary and totally easy for someone else.
So I remember when I first heard about this trip is when I first came to All Souls 5 years ago, and Kate told me about it. She was the youth director then, and I asked her if there was a trip for adults. Don't you want to go on a trip like this? Raise your hand so you can sign. Yes, I'm serious. Yes, that's fantastic. So tell Kate afterwards, and we'll do a trip this year. Serious.
Well, and what makes it so powerful is that each activity represents a specific challenge and a specific kind of fear to overcome. On the Spirit Quest, just like in life, our fears and challenges have important things to teach us. But sometimes we need other people around to help us gather the courage and the strength to face our fears and the challenges life throws at us.
So we're going totally off script here now. We've been gone a little bit off script. I was thinking that just this morning, Tanner, that it's not only that we need to face our fears and do these physical challenges and learn that we're strong enough or brave enough or can make a mistake and come back up. We'll talk about all that in a minute. But part of the trip is also finding a sacred spot. Is that right? Finding a place that's your own. And then every morning and every evening doing some journaling. Is that what they do?
Yeah, it's literally a geographical sacred space that you can go to watch the sunrise and watch the sunset. But also, symbolically, it's a place to focus on your life. Think about the day. Think about the challenges that you're about to face, or at the end of the day, the challenges you've overcome, and to be in that sacred space reflecting on your life.
So it actually made me think about the life of Jesus. And in between the two services, I pulled this up on my computer. And so we know that he had to go into the wilderness, right, to hear his own call and to face those temptations. And then also, all through the scriptures, so like in Matthew 14, after he dismissed them, he went up on a mountainside by himself to pray. Later that night, he was there alone. And if you look through, it's over and over and over again. Mark chapter 1, very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. And in Luke, when all the people were being baptized, Jesus was baptized too, and so he was praying. Heaven was open. One of those days, Jesus went out to a mountainside to pray and spent the night praying to God. And it's over and over and over again that he goes away from the people and from his call and from his work in the world to reflect and look within, meditate, pray, and understand. And I realized that that's why life in and of itself is a teacher, but it's not enough. It takes thought and reflection and friends and people to share your stories with, to get the lessons and to see the clues and to hear that wise voice within.
Absolutely. And they do the same thing on the 9th grade coming of age vision quest campouts. Going out, finding that sacred space, finding that that space away from time, that space away from anyone else and away from distraction, away from their cell phones, away from music, away from the internet.
We all could remember this, right?
Yes. Thankfully, there's no cell phone reception there anyway, which helps.
What are some of the things they do besides meditate and pray?
Well, we asked them to journal. They're as a freshman in the coming of age class, they're working on their credo, literally looking inward, developing their statement of belief, their belief system, their own personal theology, and seeing how they can apply that in the world, see how they can take their beliefs and their values that they've learned from various teachers in their lives, and how can they apply it in their lives.
Cool.
And then on the Senior Spirit Quest, focusing on the challenges and fears they've had to face, but realizing they're taking a big step, going forward into adulthood, going forward into the unknown, but they have support, they have friends, they have family, they have a church congregation here that has their backs and that will always be there for them.
And what did you say about spelunking? Did you say something about spelunking?
Well, when I was talking about going into the unknown, going into adulthood, you might think you know what's ahead of you, and maybe you do, but you don't, so you don't. So spelunking, the Cave Exploring Challenge, is about literally and symbolically entering the unknown.
Just like in life when we have no idea sometimes what's coming next, there are moments that are so dark or so difficult, we literally can't see a way forward. We have to kind of feel our way. We have to put one foot in front of the other until something shifts and we can figure out where actually we're heading.
Or you hit your head on the wall and you know to duck.
You turn around and you start over. Or you're curled up in a corner for a long time, not daring to move. That's a good point.
Don't know what's coming.
It's true.
The next challenge is horseback riding. And for us, that represents the times in your lives when you meet a power that's greater than your own. We will meet people who are very powerful. We will have urges within us that are so strong, they threaten to overpower us. Horses are stronger than people, but we've learned how to tame them. And we've learned how to harness and direct their power. Sometimes we get thrown off or stepped on, and we get hurt because the power is so overwhelming, and we're not up to the challenge of that horse or that particular life challenge.
I'm just remembering that on a study abroad in college, I was in Hungary and we went horseback riding and I literally got thrown off the horse. The horse was running, and you know how horses head to the barn when all of a sudden they're headed back? And I thought I was going this way and then the horse went this way and I went that way. And I actually broke my arm and ended up in hospital in a foreign country with like nobody I knew, and kind of like what you talk about later. Of course, there were angels there, people there to take care of me. Yeah, it happened. Rock climbing, which you guys did, represents facing giant obstacles and huge risks head on, and then finding within you, doing whatever it takes to overcome them. A vertical wall of rock, to me, I don't know what it looks like to you guys, but it looks like just impossible to get over. And there are moments in life that feel the same way, just way too hard to possibly deal with or make it through the day. When you do the actual rock climbing, there are ropes and harnesses, and there's people there cheering at the bottom and people cheering at the top, encouraging you on, which is a good metaphor for life. We need the right people, we need the right resources, we need people to believe in us, even when we don't believe in ourselves. It's hard to get through those times alone. But even with all the cheering and all the harnesses and all the ropes, in the hardest moments, you're going to have to want to persist, right? You're going to have to push on, even when you think you can't, because that's the only way we get any higher. The great thing is that when you get to the top, you have a totally new view of the world. Just like in life, when we overcome an obstacle that we thought we couldn't possibly get through, we have a new understanding and a new perspective on ourselves and what we're capable of. So I'm going to tell all of you a story, a personal story about that in my own life. Rock climbing ended up being the metaphor for me. I was 38 years old when I started seminary. I already had 2 children. They were 13 and 10, so I was a busy working mom. I had to go to school part-time because I had like 2 or 3 other jobs. That's the way people make a living in Maine. I had to keep up with all the stuff to keep my house going and driving my kids to lessons and classes and all those crazy things that happen when your kids are that age. There was absolutely no way to see the top of where I was headed. It was just 2 classes a semester, do my reading, do my homework, do the exam, sign up for the next class. I had no idea, really no idea where it would lead. I just knew I had to do it. There's a good chance with a Master of Divinity degree, kind of like an English degree or a philosophy degree, those degrees, anthropology, that it won't lead anywhere. There was no guarantee of a job, no guarantee of a church, no guarantee of anything. So what I have felt in my life, and I felt before I went to seminary, is what I call a call. For me, it's very much a God thing. Some of us in this church or congregation would call it destiny. It's so compelling, you can't do anything else. So you actually don't need to see the top. You just know you have to take this next step. And it's just how I felt about midwifery. And I had that call when I was a lot younger. I was 21, 22, when I felt like I just had to do this. The second time, it was a question that kept pressing on me. Like, it was just in my mind for years and years. I kept trying to push it away. It didn't matter. It was this question about what faith feels like, what true faith is. And I just kept pushing it away until I couldn't anymore. And I knew I had to find my own answer to that question, right? There's books and books full of answers about what that means, but I needed to know for myself. So I started climbing that wall that was way too big. I couldn't see over, but because I just kept doing it, climbing, my whole life has changed. And my whole family's life has changed. Just like a few teeny examples where we've moved halfway across the country, and I'm actually pretty shy by nature, but now I stand up in front of all of you and talk like it's a normal thing to do, which is really becoming, but it wasn't. And one of our daughters lives in Tulsa with us and is in graduate school here. And the view from up here is totally different. My world is so much bigger than it used to be. And knowing that I've made it this far, I'm confident that I can keep on climbing towards whatever's next. And one of the best parts, I'm going to tell you how old I am now. One of the best parts, and this is really true, is that at 52, I feel like I'm just at the very thank you! Woo! At 52, I feel like I'm just at the very beginning. Wow. And it's an amazing feeling.
Yeah,
an amazing feeling.
Wow. And it really sounds like you took an amazing leap of faith when you went back to school. Yeah, multiple leaps of faith, right? Yeah. To go back to school, enter the seminary with a family, totally unknown where it was going to lead, and then to move across the country with your family.
To Oklahoma.
Wow.
They're still getting used to that.
We're glad you leapt here.
Thank you.
It makes me think of another one of the physical challenges we did on the Spirit Quest, which was the bungee jumping activity called the quick jump. It might be my favorite of these activities, but it also represents my greatest fear. There's no training or skill involved, so there's no way to prepare. You just take a step and let yourself fall. The gear is all in place, right?
Not going on.
Can you imagine that?
Trip. That's what I'm picking up on.
Hey, it's a 50-foot drop, 30 feet free fall. Yeah. And, the gear is all in place, and either it'll hold or it won't. What are you going to do? Okay. What it takes is literally a leap of faith. You have to let go of what you have. You have to step off of solid ground and let yourself be caught. So, Barbara, which do you think of these 4 physical challenges you'd be most afraid of?
Which one am I most afraid of? Not you, me?
Yeah.
So for me, it's definitely the rock climbing. Because I do, he's my spotter.
Just in case.
So,
you got to have a support network. You got.
Because, and I wore the right shoes for this, didn't I? Because it's rock climbing, because it just looks impossible. So when I see something that looks impossible, my first instinct is just to go the other way, right? It's just too hard. You ever feel that way? Just too hard, yeah. And then there's this great fear that I'll try and I'll fail. You ever feel that way? Yeah, so rock climbing. Yeah. That's the one for me. And And I know I don't like it because in Maine we had a friend who did it all the time, and so I actually went a couple times and tried it. And I like to challenge myself physically. I'll like challenge you to a game or whatever, but I really did get caught up in the fear of falling and in failing. It just stressed me out. So in thinking about that, my experience and why I chose rock climbing, I realized that I was taught as a girl just not to make mistakes. Just like...
Be perfect. That's not so much to ask, is it?
Do you know my mother? Doesn't know my... I love you, Mom. I do. I love my mom, but... It is the way I was raised. Like, just don't make any mistakes, which is just impossible, right? So I think I spent a lot of my life protecting myself and not taking risks or hiding so that I could avoid that horrible consequence, which I had learned as a little girl. It wasn't okay to fail, which is just ridiculous, because the only way we learn is by making mistakes. So it took me a long, long time to let myself take on challenges, crazy challenges, even walls that are impossible to scale, so that I could learn that it was okay. I didn't have to be perfect, Tanner.
Of course not.
And it's really only in that process that I've let myself do as an adult in my 40s, by publicly taking risks and doing things and not being perfect, and people witnessing that, and people still loving me and accepting me and not rejecting me and not turning away from me, that I've learned that I am actually okay the way I am, and what I'm capable of doing.
You're fantastic the way you are.
Aw, Tanner. This is an amazing place to grow. So, right back at ya. Which one's the scariest for you?
Okay, it's hard. For me, it's the quick jump, the bungee jump thing. So it's my favorite, though. That's the thing. I love it so much. I love the sensation of free fall. It's just absolutely thrilling and terrifying. But it's a thing. Letting go of control and taking that step off the edge, that's the real challenge. Your adrenaline's racing, your heart's pounding, and every atom, every fiber of your being is saying, this is a bad idea. But what it takes is you have to shut your brain off. It's a matter of faith. It's a matter of trust. And that doesn't come from up here. The more you think about it, the more you're going to freeze. The more you're going to just freeze up and you won't be able to do it. So you really have to turn your brain off. And
so you had to count to what? 10, 3, 6, 7? What?
They tell you to count to 3, and if they get to 3, the guide will no, they won't push you. They'll give you some strong words of encouragement, and then they'll reevaluate. But I know my
Now.
Something about a swarm of bees. I don't know. But I knew myself, and I knew that the longer it went on, the less likely I'd be to jump. So I jumped somewhere between 1 and 2, about 1.2. I don't know. Somewhere. I didn't want to wait. I want to get it over with. So yeah, you just have to shut your brain off and literally just take a leap.
Except it's further than that.
Except it's further, right? I imagined it being a little more dramatic, but that's 2 feet. You know, we're all about safe danger here.
It's good to know. It's good to know.
But that really does represent a big fear of mine, which is doing everything I'm supposed to do, doing everything right, but having the results still turn out badly. It's more than trusting that the harness, the cable, the springs will all work together and catch me. It's about trusting that even in extreme conditions, I'm held. Even when I'm scared, I'm okay. That trust, that faith, comes from knowing that I have love all around me. In the world, in my fellow human beings, and most of all, in my communities. Some I was blessed with, like my family of origin. Some I have chosen, like my wife and my friends. Some have chosen me, like this church. And some consist of that random passerby, that Target cashier who says just the right thing at just the right time. Having a bad day, they give you a smile, and they just say something little. To them, it's nothing. But to you, it's the right thing at the right time. It's just what you needed. And it doesn't always make sense, but I know that they are always there. I know that even when I feel alone, I'm not. And that, to me, is God.
So thank you for bringing God into the picture, Tanner, because it connects with my experience of learning that I can make mistakes and still belong, because it hasn't just transformed my understanding of myself, but it's shown me, or kind of revealed to me, that we're all enough just the way we are. There's that idea in many religious traditions that in the eyes of God, in God's eyes, we're always enough. We're always lovable. We're all included in God's love. But since God, at least any God that I understand, doesn't have literal or physical eyes and doesn't have literal or physical arms or legs, I really believe that our shared call, the thing that compels us, that motivates and inspires and moves our lives, is this call to seek out and protect and learn how to express just that kind of unconditional love that, if we're lucky, we feel around us. We're called to be the eyes and the ears and the arms and the legs of God. We say here a lot that God is love, but love doesn't have eyes or arms. We have to try to see each other and our world through God's eyes. We're made of earth and spirit. And so the sacred is expressed through us. It's human arms that hold us when we're sick and dying. It's human voices that lift up our spirits with songs and words and poems and prayers. It's our hands that heal each other when we're hurt. Which is why in this youth program, or just in any of the experiences you have in the church, we initially experience love and care and a sense of conscience through each other, through our families, through our community. But with time, we begin to gain a growing confidence about the very existence of love and compassion itself, separate from our actions. Are you with me? First you feel it between us, but then you get a sense of it inside yourself, maybe a growing certainty about the presence of God. It doesn't just come through the Target lady or gentleman. You don't just know what's right because your parents are telling you or your teachers told you. You can listen inside yourself and hear your own conscience telling you what the right thing is to do next. And you don't just have to read the readings in the back of the hymnal or wait for your minister or your teacher to tell you what the wise thing is to do. You start to be able to find that voice of wisdom inside your own head and inside your own soul, because you're about to leave this community. And the point isn't to stay here forever for any of us. So even when we can't see a way forward because it's pitch dark, when all you can see is a huge wall that you can't possibly climb over, or when you feel there are powers much greater than you are that are working intentionally against you, even when you're scared to death, remember this kind of confidence and this kind of faith and your own capacity to hear a call, your own capacity to care for other people and to let yourself be cared for other people, and this power life has in and of itself to carry you forward.
To go through life with such a faith in oneself and in our fellow human beings is a great blessing and a gift. It's a gift we give each other in this church. Whether you choose to call this source of life or the source of faith God, love, or life itself, may your experiences here at All Souls be a doorway into such a faith. And may your love and your life be buoyed by a confidence that you are never alone. We hope that you've learned here that you're enough.
We hope that you've learned here that you're lovable enough.
We hope that you've learned here that you're good enough.
We hope that you've learned here that you can still succeed after you make a really big mistake, even after you make tons of really big mistakes.
We hope that you've learned that there's still hope, even when you've given up.
Because if you know those things are true for you, you'll be able to go out beyond the walls of this church and show other people that it's true for them too.
May you know yourself through the eyes of God. And may you be the eyes of God for others.
Before we sing, just take a moment. I invite all of you to just take a moment with this image of the eyes of God, that we can see each other through God's eyes. Maybe David will play just a little bit of music for us. And take a look around at your neighbors. Maybe close your eyes first, look inside yourself. See yourself as a child of God. See your own struggles and your own challenges, the ones you have overcome, the ones you're still hoping to overcome, and see yourself as beloved. And when you know yourself as beloved and accepted and belonging, just as you are, then you're ready to open your eyes and look at your neighbor and look into his or her eyes just for 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and see the person next to you through the eyes of God. Pay attention to how it feels. And remember, you can do it all day long. All night long. Today and tomorrow and the next day. We're supposed to love each other this way. We're born knowing how. We spend our lives remembering how. May it be so for each and every one of us.
So take me by the hand, yes. Together we will work until we're done. There's no foe that can defeat us when we're walking side by side.
Thanks for tuning in online. We are so pleased with all the different people who have been tuning in from all over the country and all over the world to our ministry and what we're doing at All Souls here in Tulsa. If you have a chance to send me an email or connect with me in some way, let me know what you're finding, why you tune in, and what you're getting out of it. I would love to hear from you. I'm always pleased when I get messages from different people who tell me all kinds of things about the impact of All Souls Tulsa's ministry on them and their lives and their families. And if you get a chance to make a gift to support this ministry, to become a partner, we would love to partner with you and have you be a friend of the church and somebody who is actually supporting us to create this congregation and the world that we're trying to create together. You can be a part of it, and every gift of every amount makes a difference. We really appreciate your support.